Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 18 of Visions of Tomorrow, the review series for Gran Turismo's Vision GT concept cars. And this is the second Vision GT car to come from a particular manufacturer, and I personally really like it when manufacturers do that. Mercedes did it with their two versions, and also this manufacturer, Volkswagen, did as well. Now this particular VGT is in effect the hardtop version of their existing Vision GTi Roadster, but to say that it's just a hardtop version isn't really that accurate, because although they are identical as far as overall spec, they're not really the same car at all, because one is very distinctly a Roadster. It looks perfect with those proportions, and the detailing is much smoother and less cluttered than the hardtop. This vehicle is not just a Roadster with a roof, it's a hatchback. You can clearly see that from the shape, and as such, although they are very similar, they're certainly two distinct vehicles. Now, although I said that the specs are identical, which they are, there is one difference, which isn't a real spec as such, which is different, and that is the PP. Both cars use a 3-litre turbo engine and produce 578 horsepower and 515 foot-pounds of torque. But for any who will remember back to that Roadster episode, that car has really strong performance for that spec. It's a brilliant track car and one of the quickest VGTs, Tomahawk notwithstanding, in a straight line. So can this car match up to that? That's the real question. Well, straight off the bat, this car has one significant disadvantage, and that is in terms of design. Unfortunately, this car does not have a detailed interior, whereas the Roadster version does, and it's a fantastic interior due to the Speedster or Roadster design that it has. Now, that doesn't affect its performance, of course, but if you have the option, it's nice to have an interior. Now that being said, the performance on the two cars is very similar. The Roadster, I would say, is slightly quicker in a straight line. The hatchback version, in effect, feels a little bit more like a touring car around corners. It's a little bit heavier, perhaps even a little bit more grippy, whereas the Roadster feels more fun, more happy-go-lucky kind of car, and is just a more playful package overall. In my opinion, at least. Now, both cars can do around or over 250 miles per hour and have good acceleration. You can tune the cars as well as far as gearbox and various other settings, which, as I've said before in this series, is a fantastic thing to have as far as I'm concerned on any VGT car. So far we have cars which look good, they're great track cars, they're strong in a straight line, and they're tunable. So overall, they give you pretty much everything you could reasonably want from a Vision GT concept car. Now, it does cost 1 million credits, just like the normal Roadster and the majority of the others, so it is potentially a large amount of cash for someone to spend out. So is it worth it? That's the real question. Well, I'd say yes. It's a fairly simple one for this particular episode because it has every advantage that the Roadster has. It's not necessarily as cool overall, in my opinion, because it doesn't have that detailed interior, and I personally just don't think it looks quite as good either, but that's of course down to personal preference. As far as performance, it's just as good. It's just as good in a straight line, it's different around corners, but at the same time just as effective, and makes for an interesting option between the two. And that's something which we don't often get the option of, especially in the world of high performance and concept cars. To be able to choose whether you want an open or closed top version is a relatively rare thing, and we don't really think about it that much. This car offers both, and I think that's pretty cool. As far as whether or not you should buy this car, well, as I mentioned just now, I'd definitely say it's worth checking out at least. It's not necessarily the kind of car that you'll use all the time, but it's certainly a good car to have in your collection. It won't really let you down. It's a dependable car as far as performance and how competitive it is. It's fast in a straight line, especially for its power. There are very few sub 600 horsepower cars of its similar spec which can keep up with it. And it's fun. It's just a cool car to own. So overall, I would say that really the only decision to be made about the hardtop version of Volkswagen's Vision GT program is which one you prefer, because they're both brilliant cars that I definitely recommend. So it depends if you prefer Roadster or hardtop. For me personally, it would have to be the Roadster, but I could understand at the same time why some people would like the hardtop. It certainly has more of a traditional Volkswagen GTi feel, looks a bit more like a conventional WRC rally car or that kind of thing. So it's a matter of opinion at the end of the day. So that's it overall for this particular review. It's a relatively simple one because it's such a good car. But I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.